Hi everyone, welcome back to the photogrammetry tutorial. In this video, we will be processing our 3D models on Agisoft Metashape Professional. So to start out with the workflow, I have saved my project first of all. Then I want to add photographs to this first chunk. And if I go into the folder where I have my photos, I can just drag them into the chunk. I can also go into workflow and add the photos that way. So now we have all of them here. None of them have been aligned yet. So in order to align them, I go into workflow and click align photos. And here I'm met with a number of settings. If I want to quickly see if I have enough photos, then I can run it on low setting. This will be a lower quality, of course, but the processing time is quite quick. If I want to go straight ahead with the workflow, though, I can go into medium or high, and the rest of the settings can be remained on default. If you have over 100 photographs, then you can click generic pre-selection, but normally it's not necessary. And the number of tie point limits and key point limits, if you have 0, then it will take everything into consideration when it's processing this model. However, if you set it at this default limit, it will create a nice manageable data set or point cloud. So you just click OK. And depending on the processing power of your computer, this can take quite a while. It shouldn't take too long, but I will skip ahead in the video regardless. Okay, so that has finished processing. It took about almost 7 minutes to do. And you can see the point cloud has been generated. Now this layout is not what I want. So as I showed in the interface tutorial, I can change the positioning by rotating the object and changing the surrounding box to make sure that all of the points that I want are within the box so that that can be processed, and any points that are outside of it can be disregarded. So just making sure it's all within. And kind of change the layout a little bit more. And there we go. Okay, so that is our point cloud, and it's made up of over 9,000 points. And you can see it's definitely more dense at the top here. Probably that is the highest amount of photographs that were taken, and less so at the bottom. But it's not a problem because I'm going to be aligning the underside of this, so there will be enough overlap between the two sides. And I'll be showing that in a separate video. So the next step of the workflow would be to create my dense cloud. And I would click here, build dense cloud. And again, I can put it on medium or high quality. I want to keep depth filtering on mild. If you put it on aggressive, then it will remove what the software believes is redundant points. And sometimes it'll be a bit too much. So I want to keep it on mild. If I disable it altogether, then it will not get rid of any points, any redundant points, and then you'll end up with too many points that you don't really want. So keep it on mild and start processing again. And again, I will skip ahead in the video. Okay, so our dense cloud has finished processing, and we can turn it on by clicking the dense cloud button. And this is what we end up with. So you can see the base is still on there because it was part of within the surrounding box. And everything outside of it was deleted. And so this is unnecessary for us, so we can delete that. And we can do that by going to the selection tool here and just cutting it away and clicking X, delete. And there's a few extra bits. You can also change the selection tool, circle or freeform. So if we go back to our cursor, yeah, dense cloud looks all right. Yeah, we can see on the bottom there are a few holes, but as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be aligning the underside of it. So those holes will be filled. You can also already see that there are some color differences on this model. And that has to do with the lighting that was in the room when I was taking these photographs. So this is an example of why you ideally want even lighting when capturing your model. So the next step in the workflow is build mesh. And here again, we have a few settings. We want our surface type to be 3D. 2.5D is more for landscape, like aerial, planar views that can be integrated into GIS. So we want 3D. Then we have our face count here. This is the amount of polygons that the mesh is going to be made of. So of course, the higher number, the more dense your model is going to be and a bigger file size it's going to be. So if you want a very high quality model, obviously high quality. If you want to be able to put this online, then you'll probably want to think about having a lower quality one, especially if you're going to be uploading to Sketchfab. There's a limited file size that you can upload onto that. So it's just something to take into consideration when you are choosing your quality settings and building the model. You can also, if you do a high model and you find out later that the file size is just too large, you can decimate the mesh. But for now, I'm going to choose medium. And everything else can be set as default and click OK. Okay, that's done processing. That took about a minute, so it was a bit quicker because it was on medium quality. So now to turn on our mesh, we can click Model Solid. And there we have it. So we can see the surface of our model now. You can see the cracks that are in it. You can see that it auto-filled the hole at the top here. It didn't at the bottom, and that's fine. If we did want to fill that, we could go into Tools, Mesh, and Close Holes. And yeah, if you have smaller holes, then you can change the level. But for larger ones like this, it'll have to be at 100%. Okay. We can also see our wireframe, see how dense this model is. And it's looking okay. Okay, so the final step of the spacer workflow is to build the texture. And this will create your photorealistic 3D model. The main thing you want to focus on here is your texture size. So this is the resolution that will be that the images will be applied as. So You can, if it's smaller objects, I would do 2K. For larger ones, I would do maybe 4K. You can go up as high as 8 or 16K, but normally it's just not really necessary. It's not going to add a ton of resolution. It's just going to create a very large JPEG or PNG. If the model autofilled holes, then it's going to ask you to autofill color on those holes. So this is what these settings are for. And yeah, just press OK, and it can begin processing. Right, so once that's done, we can turn on our model texture. And there we have it. There is our 3D model. So in the following video, I'm going to show you how to align and merge chunks so that you have a complete model with the underside here. But if you were happy with this and you don't need the base, then you can just go into File and export your model. And normally I export as a OBJ. Unless I'm 3D printing, then maybe an STL. And yeah, that is all. Thanks.